Hello everyone and welcome to today's SANS webcast, How to Eliminate Alert Fatigue by Turbocharging SOAR with NSM, sponsored by Corelight. Today's featured speakers are Richard Baitlick, Principal Security Strategist with Corelight, Wissam Ali Ahmad, Lead Solutions Architect at Splunk, and Troy Moore, Cybersecurity Analyst at Idaho National Laboratory. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to our first presenter, Richard Baitlick.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I know we've got some crazy times going on out there, so I appreciate that you took an hour of your time to talk about network security monitoring and SOAR and how those things can work together for you. There's a couple of points I just wanted to use to frame the discussion that we're going to have today. And the first one is that if you don't have good data to work with, all the expertise in the world isn't going to help you. In other words, what makes for a good analyst is good data. You take the smartest person in the world and you give them no evidence to work with. You know, imagine Sherlock Holmes with nothing but his mind. That's still pretty formidable, but he's not going to be able to solve the case. He needs evidence in order to figure out what's happening. So that's one of the tenets we're going to be looking at today is where can you get good evidence about what's going on in your environment in order to solve security challenges. Now, once you have good evidence and you have analysts and they're trying to deal with security challenges, the traditional model was you would execute some type of playbook, and maybe it wasn't called a playbook, maybe it was just called your process or your procedures. But that model does not scale with modern security load. It works to a certain extent, but it is really much smarter if you can integrate some degree of automation into your workflow. Now, you don't just want to automate an inefficient process. You want to, as we used to say in another company I worked at, you wanted to lean then digitize, which was the CIO, Gary Reiner, his main point for us. But what you want to be able to do is eventually to create playbooks that get embodied into software. So the software is executing the playbook for you, and the analyst interacts with that software when it is needed and when he or she has to make a decision about what's happening in the environment. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about how working with Corelight and Splunk can be that collection of capabilities that will give you the ability to deal with the security challenges facing the modern analyst. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Wissam from Splunk.
Thank you, Richard. So I'm going to be talking about how to build the next generation security operations center with the essentials of the technologies around that for analytics, automation, orchestration with Splunk and Corelight. Next. So as we know today, all of security still has challenges around security operation, and security analysts are facing with a lot of tools, right? We typically talk to customers, we hear about they have like a couple of dozens and 30 and 40, 50 even tools that they have to work with. And these tools, as you see here, they're around the gamut of different security domains, we like to call them, right? So we have proxy, firewalls, application security, cloud, right? Today you have the challenges of multi-cloud and so on and so on. And the endpoint's still a problem now with remote work as well. So all these tools and security technologies are sending you these alerts, and you are overwhelmed as an analyst to look at what do I do with these alerts, right? So these alerts can be in the thousands, 10,000 more a day that you have to sift through. So at the core of that solution for that, in order for you to sift, investigate, and monitor, and make a decision before you act on these alerts, you need essential tools as a security event, incident event management, SIM, that does the analytics for you based on all these different technologies. And then the SOAR is the action part. SOAR is the security orchestration automation response. So both SIM and SOAR are SIM is the platform to analyze that data emitted from all these security domains. And then SOAR is the technology and the platform to help you act on that in an automated, orchestrated fashion. So let's talk next about how is that, the framework around that. So we like to put those framework around the life cycle of a SOC. Basically, typically from observation, orientation, decision-making, and then action. On the observe side is all the signals that you're seeing right now from the security domain, security tools, all the sensory data, all the network monitoring data. And what you get from those sensors is that now you need a way to process them, to analyze them. And that's where you orient, as the analytics platform is important, as such as SIM. After you analyze that data is actually filtered, whittled down using correlations from 10,000 alerts to a few thousands or even hundreds. And then even more decision making will help you also make decision on those few alerts that we call notable events, turn them into actionable events. And that's where now you look at from that into taking an action, which modifies sometimes the actual, make some modifications, basically mitigations into your environment. So in the next build on this is I'm showing you how today these maps, these technology maps with Corelight and Splunk. Corelight is your network security monitoring sensors. They're sending this rich data to the analytics platform. In this case, it's Splunk and Splunk Enterprise. And Splunk Enterprise Security is our SIM product. So you have all that data coming in from Corelight being analyzed in Splunk along with other data sources. And then in Splunk Phantom on the right side, that's where you're making the decision making by looking all those notable events that were already filtered. And before you take action, maybe your action could be you quarantine a device, you add a whitelist, you send an alert to the security analyst, to the admin. So that's basically the flow of how that now we can go from manual operation to fully automation and reduce incident response time with those two technologies, with the Corelight and Splunk, and also and then the SOAR platform, Splunk Phantom. Yes, so once you have the sensory data that you're from the instrumentation and network security monitoring NSM, that data is processed in Corelight. Corelight is sending that data in the form of logs, and you have a rich set of log data and event data that you're getting out of Corelight from the DNS and other protocols. And then that data gets ingested into Splunk and indexed in Splunk. And the reason for that is for the analytics, right? Splunk analyzes the information in real time and then can give you the answers that you need. So you can say things like, show me the last network sessions that are occurring within this last 5 minutes or within an hour for this device. So you can ask Splunk questions like that through the Splunk search language, and then you have the answers in the form of results or alerts that you can actually process them in another system as well. So in this case, for a full spectrum of analyzing an attack, let's say, or incident, I take that data that's ingested in Splunk. I actually have that available to be for the SOAR platform, the Splunk Phantom. Phantom is the orchestration automation engine where I can run playbooks that would individual steps in those playbooks, we call those actions, that would query Splunk back for more context. So before you make a decision on any action you like to take, any mitigative actions you want to do on the network or on the endpoint, one of the steps in those playbooks could also be a decision-making step. So that decision-making step could be condition or some logic expression. It would need maybe some extra data points. Could be more context. It could be more things coming from Corelight. So that, in this case, Phantom, as you see in the arrows here, will query back Splunk for that information to get more context on that incident steps, and make a decision on what to do next. Could be an automation step. Do I want to right away quarantine this device, or do I want to maybe send a notification to a responder to look at this issue? So basically, going through the whole cycle from event data to analytics engine to a SOAR engine is your full cycle to responding to these incidents and then reducing all the manual steps you need, and then reducing